It's not just big corporate, it's
Yeah, right.
social media and media influence, because you've still got all the social media influencers, as
Social
bad as
media
we
is
know.
owned by
Yes, but they might be owned by big corporate, but honestly, big corporate is so dependent on the influencers market. Whoever
I would
is
say that they're generating billions of dollars here in ad revenue. I think their financials are very healthy. I'm not worried about them at all.
If you have a magical enough idea, you get organic SEO and
As accelerators, social media, of course, accelerates ideas. The TikTok effect is exceptionally well known. The podcast.
Well, yeah, I know, but with
office, like, there's a lot of reasons about what social media is doing. 100%.
social media,
And it's like, where are people coming to the realization that fiber maxing is important? This is making now headlines all over the place, and fiber's back on the map.
Yeah,
because it's sexy again.
Sweet Green has 100-gram protein bowl now.
Right. I saw that. There's another one that just launched. It's like 120 grams of protein in one. That overcomes the body's physiological ability to process protein. I think it's capped at like
I guess
grams.
if it replaces carbs, then all right, it's more filling, and then you're eating vegetables.
Yeah, meanwhile, you have so many proteobacteria that are growing that you can eat in the future.
Like that, in the distal colon, you have toxic fermentable byproducts that are over the long term without non-extractable polyphenols or fiber-bound polyphenols, which are only processed in the distal colon. So if they're eating that load with veggies, there's some moderating effect, but over-proteining is a real problem.
And in the emerging data, that increase of proteobacteria actually increases your cardiovascular and toxicity risk for cancer development without the polyphenols, without everything else. And it's really bad. Yeah.
Your digestive tract can only absorb so much at once, but yeah.
I think it's 30 grams, right, Blake? Isn't it? Is it 30 grams?
It's variable, approximately, but that's over every 2 to 3 hours minimum.
Stomach, or if you have bariatric,
I just think it's an average number. I think it's about 25 to 30 something.
Exactly. It's actually not linear, so it tapers off.
Right. It's a log.
But it depends on your efficiency level and everything else, because obviously if you're an athlete who's used to more protein and able to break down more protein, so there's a lot of argument on the sports science side on how much protein. It's over a time period, though. That's the important thing to realize. But still, the problem is with influencers, so they are marketing those types of things. They're also marketing your single, like last time we were talking, the one pill solution things. Like Life Extension has a new anti-aging product. Did you see that one with just Murata and bee pollen? I think it is, or something like. It's something. It's a mint relative. I can't think of the
Post-Truth Society, and obviously that's leaked into supplements because there's 10,000 or 12,000 brands of supplements, and nobody can keep track.
But you know what? When you have a celebrity influencer who doesn't know science, that can say one item or one ingredient or two ingredients and say, I'm never going to grow old. Of course it's going to sound. This is what I mean by
told the influencer to say that. That's the influencer gets the keys from the marketer.
But the influencer was already entertaining the public, and the public is already learning from that person. This is just
remarketing. This is just
hashtag ad.
Everything all over again. This is Michael Jackson doing a Pepsi commercial. Okay, this is just now Michael Jackson or some probiotic company that's making.
Abel did cigarette commercials, so it's nothing new, right?
Was that for Marlboro? Now that what was that? No,
I don't know.
No. It was for that's right.
Well, all the actors, that was back in the day.
John Wayne, everybody had something. I just saw too, Kourtney Kardashian has now launched a colostrum supplement.
Colostrum is hot, so that's one of these things that's been around forever, and then suddenly now.
What Nova process is colostrum, though?
No,
it's colostrum.
Freeze-dried beef organs. Well, that sounds pretty processed to me.
Well, so it does go back and forth in all of this stuff. But
you're asking questions about this. Why do we need products to treat us from ecosystem disconnection? That's your question.
Part of it is that.
That's the entire question. We're disconnected from the ecosystem of nature. And we've modernized that disconnection, which is totally fine. But at the same time, that's why you need raw materials and nutrition like colostrum. Listen, there's beneficial outcomes for you. So you can look at the studies. It feeds the microbiome. It does different things. My question is how we got to now. Why is that product even influencing people's health, let alone filling a gap in the health of a population? It's the same reason that I have to ask, Why do we need fiber supplements? Because we're so deficient in the current food offerings of fiber due to the processing. It just wasn't part of the matrix of how they put it in there.
Supplements are intended to supplement the diet.
Well, yeah, right. So it's supplemented food is going to be in the big thing. I see supplemented food being a major category of expansion over the next 10 years.
But supplemented food, we had, for so many years, because I
Sure, but
remember
we
we
didn't
were
have
adding.
microbiome science, so food gets a totally different, play now. You see poppy and oligopop, for example, poppy being sold for what was it, 0.2, 1.6.
But also getting sued.
Sure, but I mean, they made the claims that you're establishing more. What I'm trying to go here is that the consumer is ready, or else there wouldn't be a market for prebiotics in a drink. Sales are down. People are not drinking the way they used to drink. They feel better otherwise. The microbiome science is maturing. I think there's a lot of positive things that we can talk about in our industry and what we're doing to help, move some of that stuff.
One of the things that is important for microbiome science actually is putting the spices back in. And I know, I managed Indian food lines where we used real spices. There were at least 30 different sources of fiber in the Indian foods at one point on the frozen line that was discontinued.
Up until 20 years ago, do you know the rate of colorectal cancer as recorded nationally in India? Up to 20 years ago, it was an anomaly. It was almost zero. So we can't qualify that number in terms of was the data collected properly or not. However, the invasion of cooking, the industrialization of the food supply happened over the last 25 to 30 years, and it's really ramping up now. As the Indian diaspora, which we have a lot in Canada, and I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are, I just love the culture, but even they will say, the mango pickle my mom makes in India is not the mango pickle I buy off the shelf, which is high in oil, high in salt, high in preservatives, and it's just a different experience. So now there's a rise in colorectal cancer in the Indian population due to an adulteration of the original spice and herbs that were in their diet. So obviously and you now know the colorectal cancer angle is coming from the E. coli production of calcibactin, right? So we see these toxins now produced, so they're bad metabolites from bad postbiotics that are now really causing a problem.
And normally they don't. Normally E. coli works.
And I'm not the Indian population, I'm just saying, now they don't have zero colorectal cancer in the data.
Yeah, this plays, the other things you can accuse are the processed foods, the red meat and the fried foods. And so you could say, hey, the fried foods, you say, we got the acrylamide going on, we got the fat, we got the everything, lack of fiber. It's like, there's a lot of things going on here. But obviously, the spice.
There's not the same quality control. There is heavy metal toxicity in the food supply based on cooking equipment and the industrialization of their food supply.
And
half your population is in extreme poverty. Do these statistics affect the growing middle class who can afford to eat?
Well, again, this is a question. I mean, I don't know. Which dynamic under. And the canary in the coal mine for me, and we should talk about this at a later one, because I think that it is critically important to talk about, is the decline in fertility around the world and the multiplicity of exposomic threats that seem to be contributing to that decline in fertility, not just through choice structures based on financial ability to support a family, but literally the inability to conceive from
changes and epigenetic changes that are coming on.
Many different things.
So
phthalates, oral contraceptives in the groundwater, xenobiotic stress from estrogen.
To study the impact of Teflon coated frying pans everybody used on a daily basis.
But on a genetic level too, we've got so many pollutants in the air that are turning on gene signals that wouldn't normally be turned on. Plus, we've got an epidemic of leaky gut with SAD diet that's happening because of microbiome disruption. I mean, just from driving in a car for more than an hour a day, you are going to probably develop some sort of leaky gut because of the amount of microplastics you're inhaling. That's going to cause hormone disruption. On top of that, just the toxins within a vehicle and sitting, not being active during that time.